So OJ Simpson has died. That's right. OJ Simpson has died, and unless you've been living under a rock, right, I'm sure you've heard of that famous murder case from back in the 90s. But yeah, the guy finally croaked a couple of days ago on April 10th. He was 76, and he died of prostate cancer. Wanted to make this video. Wonder what you guys think. Has justice finally been served after all the stuff that went down? And again, if you've been living under a rock, I'm going to summarize the events and all the trouble that this guy got himself into since the 90s. Because let me tell you, I was a fan of OJ when I was a kid. You know, as you guys, I'm sure you guys know, I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan since my childhood. And OJ was a running back for the Bills back in the 70s, 60s, 70s. I didn't see him play, but at the beginning of all the Bills games in the early 90s, he was an analyst. He would be in the sidelines as a reporter, holding that mic. And right before the games and during half times or in between some quarters, he was like that analyst, that specialist, and he would give his feedback and his expertise. So I grew to like the guy. And it's just crazy how from one day to the next, he's being chased by the cops in that white Ford. Had a gun to his head, from what I remember. And he was being charged with the alleged murder of his ex-wife and her friend. So I wanted to go ahead and read some excerpts from those times for those that don't know, because over the year, you know, when that happened, I had no idea. I was just a kid, you know. A lot of people were, it was a very divisive verdict at the end. He was acquitted. As you guys know, he was acquitted because if it doesn't fit, he must acquit. But, you know, as the years have gone by, there isn't one person that I've spoken with that thinks that he was actually innocent. I think across the board, most people really believe that OJ killed his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. But the courts found him not guilty, so it was what it was, right? But that guy just kept getting himself into trouble. And let me tell you, for someone that had his ex-wife murdered, the way that he responded after that definitely does not, it's just too uncanny. It's not the way someone would respond when they hear the news that their ex-wife has been murdered. He has displayed, especially over the years, the character traits of someone that got away with murder, and he just loves it. And it's like his mask had completely fallen off over the years. He did go to prison. And I'll cover that later. He ended up going to prison for something else because these psychopaths just can't stay out of trouble. It's like they get away with something, right? They get away with something, and instead of just moving into an island and just living low key, they gotta press their luck, right? They gotta press their luck until eventually they roll snake eyes and they get thrown in the slammer, which is what happened to OJ Simpson. But I would see those interviews later in his life, and he just had this arrogant, cocky attitude, like someone that got away with it, and he was just loving every minute of it. Sad, so sad. So that's probably why the networks, the sporting teams that he played for, the Bills, he did play for the 49ers, they're not offering any type of real, sincere condolences at the loss. I think a lot of people are probably happy that he passed. Is his death enough to, has justice been served? I don't think so. But I did want to read to you guys what actually went down. For those of you that don't know, or don't remember, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. This is just coming straight out of Wikipedia, and I have some parts summarized just to get through the video quicker. But shortly after midnight on June 13th of 1994, that's right, we're going back to 1994, guys. Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend, Ron Goldman, were found stabbed to death in the courtyard outside of Brown's condo in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. Police determined the murders had taken place on the night of the 12th. Goldman had been there to return to Brown a pair of glasses that her mother had lost earlier that day. The knife that was used was never found. Simpson was an immediate person of interest in their murders, and there was never any other suspect found. Imagine that, after all this time, no other suspect was found. He maintained that on the 12th, he had been at home, waiting for a limousine to take him to an airport for a flight to Chicago. And after police gathered all the evidence, charges were filed and a warrant was signed for Simpson's arrest. Now, the madness starts now, guys, if you all remember. Simpson, in agreement with his attorneys, was scheduled to turn himself in at approximately 11 a.m. to the Parker Center Police Headquarters on the morning of June 17th. OJ Simpson failed to turn himself in because, you know, he didn't do it, right? So why can't he turn himself in if he's innocent? He later became the subject of a low-speed pursuit on the 405 freeway by police while riding as a passenger in a white 1993 Ford Bronco SUV. I'm laughing because I remember this. I remember watching the Knicks and the Rockets in the NBA Finals, and they had to interrupt it to show this car chase. This was the talk of the town. It was the most ridiculous thing I had ever seen up until that point. The vehicle owned and being driven by his former teammate and longtime friend Al Cowlings. According to Cowlings, Simpson was armed in the back of the vehicle with a pistol, holding it to his head and threatening to shoot himself if he was not taken back to his Brentwood estate. Wow. So you discover that your ex-wife has just been killed, and you're gonna get on your car, and you're gonna have the cops chase you down a freeway, and supposedly you have a gun to your head, saying that threatening to kill yourself if you're not taken back home. I mean, that's not helping your case, OJ. So it started off crazy. But I digress. This caused the responding California Highway Patrol officers to pursue with extreme caution. The police closed the nearby highways. As Cowlings rode, Simpson's lawyer, Robert Kardashian, publicly released a letter from him saying, "Don't feel sorry for me. I've had a great life, great friends. Please think of the real OJ and not this lost person." So it seemed that OJ snapped like sociopaths and psychopaths tend to do, and they lose themselves and they do things that are just completely batshit crazy. TV stations interrupt the coverage of the 1994 NBA Finals to broadcast the incident live. Yep, I remember that. With an estimated audience of 95 million people, the event was described as the most famous ride on American shores since Paul Revere's. Tens of thousands of people gathered on Los Angeles streets and highways to view the chase. Mind you, it's a car chase, like in the movies. He was arrested shortly before 9 p.m. The incident likely increased sales of the Ford Bronco by an additional 7,000 purchases in 1994 compared to 1993. That's crazy. So y'all remember the case? They had what they called the dream team of defense counsel for OJ Simpson that included Robert Kardashian, Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz. I know these names ring a bell. The prosecution for the state of California was led by Marcia Clark, Christopher Darden. The judge was Lance Ito. The trial, which was televised from January to October 1995, making it the longest trial in California history. It was often characterized as the trial of the century. The jury is sequestered for 266 days, also the longest in California history. It ended up including 10 black people and a 12-person jury. Now, before the trial began, it was discovered the police investigation had been flawed. Photo evidence had been lost or mislabeled. DNA had been collected and stored improperly, raising a possibility that it was tainted. Now, you remember the line, if the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. They made OJ put on the gloves, the bloody gloves that they found, and he did the best that he could to make sure that he struggled, stretching his hands. Just, wow, what an amazing acting job that he did there. I mean, even I don't know. I saw it. I've seen it a million times. You can pull it up on YouTube. It looks like he could have fit those gloves, but his friend later on said that OJ had confessed that he did it and that he stopped taking his arthritis pills, so his hands would swell up a little bit more. So look, he had the dream team of defense attorneys, right? The dream is like, when you got money, ladies and gentlemen, when you got money, like, you know, sometimes you can buy the Supreme Court. Don't quote me on that, but you know what I'm trying to say here. There was a lot of things about that case. There was a lot of stuff that you can pull up on YouTube now that it's like, okay, look, I know we got to go through the court system and all, but man, everything is pointing in the direction that he did it. That was his ex-wife. If you guys have been in this channel long enough here at Psychopath Exposure, and we talk about psychopaths, we talk about deranged lunatics, sociopaths, narcissists, and how deranged these clowns are, and when they snap, they break up with you, or you break up with them because the abuse is too much, and then they go completely psycho on you, and they start to stalk you, and they start to harass you, right? And they threaten every other guy that you date, and they get all up on your business, all up on your friend's business. They are obsessed with you. The narcissism is so bad at that point. They are completely addicted, obsessed with you. They will not let you move on. If they can't have you, nobody can. And I'm starting to believe that that's what happened in the OJ Simpson situation. After that divorce, he was completely obsessed with this woman, and is like, nope, I'm not gonna let. Supposedly that friend Ron Goldman showed up at her house, and he thought they were banging or something like that, and bam, both of them die. Deranged psychopath. Deranged psychopath. And look, that's your ex-wife. No matter what happens, you know, that's the mother of your children. No matter what, when something like that happens, you're not going to behave in this way. You're going to be completely distraught at the loss. You will cooperate with law enforcement because you know you didn't do it. You want to catch the killer. You want to catch the killer. You're not going to get on a Ford SUV, a Ford Bronco SUV with a gun to your head, and just drive for hours upon hours with the cops chasing you. That's some psychotic shit. So yeah, he was acquitted. I remember watching the verdict in school. Class got stopped because they were fearing that if he would have been found guilty, that there were going to be riots and all sorts of chaos in the city. So everybody was on their toes for that verdict, and not guilty across the board. Not guilty across the board. But let me tell you how life works. See, the family of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman, they filed a civil lawsuit right after that. They filed a civil lawsuit. Let me read about that, because that's really interesting, and I'm pretty sure most of you don't even know about that part, because that wasn't covered as nowhere near as in depth or as big as the murder case. But it was a wrongful death civil trial. Following Simpson's acquittal of criminal charges, the families of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson filed a civil lawsuit against Simpson. Check this out. On February 5th, 1997, a civil jury in Santa Monica, California, unanimously found Simpson liable for the wrongful death of and battery against Goldman and battery against Brown. Simpson was ordered to pay, get ready, $33.5 million in damages, $8.5 million in compensatory damages to the Goldman family, and $12.5 million in punitive damages to each family. His net worth at the time was $11 million. So look at that. So he gets away with murder, and then they file a civil lawsuit, and it's unanimous across the board. He loses. Bam! And you got to pay millions upon millions of dollars, which he never paid, because psychopaths just have a way of just getting away with shit, right? In June 2022, just a couple of years ago, Ron Goldman's father, Fred, alleged in the court papers, intended to keep the wrongful death and battery judgment viable, that Simpson still owed $96 million due to significant interest generated on the initial order to pay the damages. So the judgment was put. I think OJ started transferring assets, and he got property in Florida because the laws are different and they cannot take away your house. They can't put a lien on it. All this red tape that starts going on, and he never pays shit. But the psychopath can't stay out of trouble, and he had legal troubles in 2007. He owed $1.4 million in back taxes. There was a tax lien filed in his case. It continued. Did you guys hear about the book that was supposed to be released called If I Did It? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? You get away with murder, for the alleged murder of your ex-wife, and then you want to publish a book saying, if I did it. And of course, the way that book was presented, it said I did it in big bold letters in red, and then if, the little teeny tiny word if was just planted inside one of those letters. You couldn't even see it. So it basically, it was genius marketing. It was like, I did it, and it had his face on it. Why would you release a book like that? Again, he's not a victim here. That's not something the victim would do. And the book was him telling the story of if he had done it, how would he have done it? How would he have done it? Like that, in my book, ladies and gentlemen, that is beyond psychotic behavior. That is psychotic behavior. That is so psychotic to publish a book like that. That means that none of this mattered to you. That means that you were acquitted of the murder, right? So supposedly that means somebody else did it, right? Don't you want to catch that killer? Don't you want to catch that? Don't you want to get justice for the murder of your wife? Wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want that? No, instead he's going to release a book telling you some psychotic shit of how he would have done it. Here's an excerpt from the book. It says, Nicole, Jesus, I looked down and saw her on the ground in front of me, curled up in a fetal position at the base of the stairs, not moving. Goldman was only a few feet away, slumped against the bars of the fence. He wasn't moving either. Both he and Nicole were lying in giant pools of blood. I had never seen so much blood in my life. It didn't seem real, and none of it computed. My God. Psychopath. He's basically confessing it. He's carrying that guilt, and he has to somehow get it out there. You see, a narcissist, a psychopath, they love getting that attention. They love taking credit for things. They love when they get away with stuff. This is why I have this channel. This is why I talk, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time here, and we talk about like psychopaths and narcissists and how they will cheat on you. They will steal from you, but they will also leave clues, hoping that you catch them because they want to get caught. They want to get caught not because they want to get sent to jail or get into trouble. They want to get caught just to punish you, just for you to catch them and realize, holy shit, you did do this. And then they're going to laugh in your face. They're going to laugh in your face as they're on their way out, engaged to be married to the person they were cheating on you with, or blowing the money that you gave them on somebody else and laughing all the way. They want to get caught because they know that when you catch them, it's going to cause grave psychological damage to your psyche, to your soul, to your heart, to your mind. They love that. They're not the type to do something and stay quiet. They need to broadcast it to everybody. And I feel, this is just my personal opinion here, that OJ wanted the world to know that he did it and that he got away with it. And his actions all point in that direction. His actions after the fact all point in that direction. You know? Especially that book. Especially that book. Now, there was something else that happened. More stupidity. More stupidity, and this is what buried him. It was the Las Vegas robbery. Did you guys know about that one? This was in September of 2007. OJ and a group of men entered a Las Vegas hotel room. They took sports memorabilia at gunpoint, claiming the items had been stolen from him. Can you imagine that? Like, let's just go at gunpoint and steal some sports memorabilia. Because, you know, psychopaths think that they can do whatever they want. They're untouchable. I mean, after all, he beat this case, so now he thinks he's untouchable. Simpson was arrested and later found guilty in 2008 on multiple charges, including kidnapping, robbery, and assault with a deadly weapon. Initially, Simpson was sentenced to 33 years in prison. There goes that number 33, guys. It has symbolism. It has symbolism. $33 million, 33 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 9 years. He appealed for a new trial, alleging judicial errors and insufficient evidence. Despite his efforts, his appeal was denied, and he remained in prison. Now, of course, psychopath keeps getting away with shit, right? July 2017, Simpson was granted parole with conditions including travel restrictions, no contact with the co-defendants, and abstaining from excessive drinking. He was later released on October of 2017 after serving nearly 9 years. And in December of 2021, not so long ago, he was released from parole early for good behavior. Now, I saw many interviews after he got out. And again, you know, everyone wants to ask him all the questions about all this shit, and he just maintains this cocky, arrogant attitude. And this is not the OJ Simpson that I remember early in the 90s as a Buffalo Bills analyst. This guy snapped. This guy snapped, and his psychosis took over, whatever the case may be. But he snapped. He snapped, and he's never been the same. And this happens to a lot of people that are dating psychopaths. Once they snap, once that mask falls off, there's no turning back, guys. And it gets worse and worse and worse. This guy threw his whole life away. And now he's dead. And, you know, he's remembered for all these atrocities. He's not remembered for the incredible athlete that he was. He's remembered as a murderer. He is, whether he got acquitted or not. That's what people remember him by. I want to read another article that came out because, again, the question here is, has justice been served? This guy didn't pay the money that he owed. He didn't pay the money that he owed. He paid very little, but nowhere near the full amount. Not even half of the amount. I think not even a third. Not even a quarter of the amount. But this article came from the Associated Press today. It says, OJ Simpson's estate to fight payouts to Brown and the Goldman families. It reads, the executor of OJ Simpson's estate says he will work to prevent a payout of $33.5 million judgment awarded by a California civil jury nearly 3 decades ago in a wrongful death lawsuit filed by the families of Simpson's ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. So we covered that already. There you go. Almost 30 years ago, he was ordered to pay the $33 million. And now that he dies, you would think that his estate and all his assets are going to default to the family because there's a judgment on it, right? This attorney wants to make sure that the families don't get the money. So even in death, the psychopath keeps tormenting the victims here. This is crazy. This is crazy. Simpson died Wednesday without having paid the lion's share of the civil judgment that was awarded in 1997 after jurors found him liable. With his assets set to go through the court probate process, the Goldman and Brown families could be in line to get paid a piece of whatever Simpson left behind. Quote, "It's my hope that the Goldmans get zero, nothing," he told the Review Journal. "Them specifically. And I will do everything in my capacity as the executor or personal representative to try and ensure that they get nothing." That's just crazy. So Goldman's father, Fred Goldman, the lead plaintiff, always said the issue was never about the money. It was only about holding Simpson responsible. Ha! You want to hold a psychopath responsible? Good luck. It's never going to happen. You're better off going for the money. You're better off trying to get the money because they will never take any type of accountability, let me tell you. He said in a statement Thursday that with Simpson's death, quote, "the hope for true accountability has ended." And there you have it, guys. There you have it. What a shame. What a shame. You know, so I know a lot of you, sometimes you wish your psychopath ex was dead or would die. And let me tell you that even if it does happen, it doesn't end the trauma. Now they're gone. Now any hope you had of some sort of justice, some sort of payback, some sort of retribution, now it's completely gone because that's it. They're dead. Sure, they can no longer physically harm you or threaten you or stalk you or anything like that. But if they owe you money, right, and anything that was left undone that you were owed, it's over. Sometimes just knowing that your abuser is rotting away in prison is better than knowing that they're dead. It's just something you won't understand until the day it happens and you realize, holy shit, this person's dead and I can no longer speak to them, or it's like they're gone. They're completely gone. And that's it. Nothing else can happen. Nothing else bad could happen by them as far as violent, right? But it's over. Was justice served? Is this the end? Or will this continue to torment the family? Sound off in the comments below, guys. Sound off in the comments below and let me know if you guys remember this case. What your thoughts on it? If you think I'm crazy for thinking he did it. Whatever it is, comment below. Let me know. And thanks for tuning in. This is Psychopath Exposure. My name is Kita. We cover narcissists and psychopaths and toxic relationships here. So if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video. Okay? That's it for today, guys. Gotta run. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.